So what's going on, guys? DIY Dan here again, and this is another episode of Backroads Arizona. In this video, I'm going to be replacing the fuel pump / sending unit assembly on my 2020 Turbo XP4 Velocity Razor. Now, the reason I am replacing this, besides the fact that my Razor is about 5 years old and I don't want the fuel pump going out because I do tend to go out on my own a lot, is because the fuel tank was reading empty no matter whether I had a full tank of fuel or whether it was actually empty. Now, there is a couple reasons for this. One is you could have an electrical issue in the wiring harness somewhere. You could also have a bad instrument cluster. However, the more likely causes of this is either going to be a bad sending unit assembly in the tank itself, or in my situation, there was a pinhole in the float which filled that float with fuel and therefore was weighing it down and not letting it read properly in the actual tank. Therefore, I did end up buying a fuel pump assembly off of Amazon, and we are Amazon affiliates, and I will put the link to that fuel pump sending unit assembly in my description with some other tools that I used in this video if you do need to get any of those coming. And let's get to it. So here's a quick look at the fuel pump assembly with the sending unit that I got off of Amazon. If you don't need the sending unit assembly, you can also buy just the pump if you want to save some money. And I will give you a very basic overview of how you can do that if you choose. However, I don't really recommend just doing the pump. And the main reason for that, especially if you're more of a DIYer than doing this every day, is because it does add quite a few more steps to the process. And every step is another possibility of something going wrong in the future. Now, if you do have a two-seater Razor, the fuel pump assembly is going to be right underneath the passenger side seat. However, mine is a four-seater, and because of that, it is under the rear passenger seat. So you will need to remove that seat in order to get to it. Now, being as though my Razor does have 4-point harnesses and I did put the pass-through seat bezels in it, this is a little bit more of a pain in the ass than the regular seat belts. So what I ended up doing is just removing the top right seat belt attachment point, pulling that part of the seat belt through that pass-through bezel, which gave me enough slack in that seat to basically flip it over and get it out of the way. Once you've got the seat out of the way, there is going to be a plastic cover that basically covers that fuel pump assembly, and there is 2 plastic tabs that you will need to squeeze or collapse in order to remove that cover. I did not have to squeeze those tabs because mine had already kind of been knocked loose, so it basically just lifted up and off. Once that cover was off, I did use a shop vac basically to clean the area to ensure no debris was going to get into the fuel tank while replacing this pump assembly. Once that plastic cover's off and it was nice and clean, there is a rubber boot that's also there to protect the lines and the wiring harness, and that rubber boot will just kind of lift up and around the plastic nut that holds that sending unit assembly in place. It might assist to have a small screwdriver or a 90-degree pick to get underneath that boot to help get it around that plastic nut that holds the fuel pump assembly in place on the fuel tank. Now, you cannot fully remove this rubber boot because from the OEM, the fuel lines go directly through this rubber boot, and I actually modified that by cutting a little slit in that rubber boot at the bottom of each one of those fuel lines so I could go around those fuel lines and get this boot completely up and out of the way. Now, there's 2 reasons I did that. One is because this boot, with it the way it is from the factory, makes it a complete pain in the ass in order to replace this fuel pump. And the other reason is because my fuel pump that I was removing still actually worked, I wanted to keep it with me on this Razor in case I'm out riding and I need to replace this out in the field. It is much easier to do. The other aspect of this is the modification that I made to this rubber boot is not going to affect the performance or anything else as far as protecting this fuel pump with the way I modified it in order to lessen the life of this fuel pump or cause any other problems, so there's no real reason not to do it. So after doing a little research, I found that maybe some of these rubber boots already have slits in them, so you can just pull them directly off. If yours does, then that's great. If not, you can do this modification, and I will show you what I did. Now, on these Razors, there is a plastic nut that holds that fuel pump assembly to the tank, and you can see that I'm struggling in order to remove it. Now, the reason for this is, with the way that rubber boot was, it was kind of wedging between some of the bracketry on the Razor, which was basically putting extra resistance on that nut because it had more friction. And because it had that extra friction, it just made it a lot harder in order to break this nut free and basically take it all the way off. Now, in past fuel pumps I've done, not on a Razor, but on regular vehicles that have this same style of retaining nut to hold these in place, I have used a large flathead screwdriver with a rubber mallet. I have used a large pair of channel locks. I've used several different methods that I tried on this assembly, which didn't really work that well. There's also some special tools that are made specifically for removing these plastic nuts, and I will put the link to those in my description if you want to get one of those coming instead. Once you initially break this nut free, it should basically spin off freely by hand without a problem, and this thing fought me the entire way off because of the extra resistance of the rubber boot against that nut. Now, one thing you could try is possibly disconnecting the fuel lines and lifting those up enough where you can get that rubber boot and just pull it off of the lines. However, I don't think with the amount of room and the lack of slack that you have on those fuel lines that you're not going to be able to do that without kinking those lines. So I was able to fully loosen that plastic nut and get that fuel pump assembly out with that rubber boot still on the fuel lines. However, I tried going back together the same way with that rubber boot on, and it was being a pain in the ass to get the nut started. I was worried I was going to end up cross-threading that plastic nut onto the fuel tank, so at that point I decided to remove it one more time and go ahead and cut the slits in that boot. So right here I'm actually making that modification. You can see I've got a heavy-duty pair of scissors. It is a little blurry, and this is another reason I removed this fuel pump one more time to show you guys. So all I did was to use those heavy-duty scissors in order to cut one slit underneath each one of the fuel lines, enabling me to remove and wrap that rubber boot around the fuel line in order to remove it. So now that I've modified that boot and explained why I did it, I'm going to go over a complete replacement guide on this fuel pump. So right here, I'm just removing that rubber boot from underneath the plastic nut. You do need to be careful because you only need to lift it up enough where you disconnect the wiring harness going to that fuel pump assembly. In order to disconnect the wiring harness assembly from the fuel pump, you're going to need to lift a plastic tab on the vehicle side of that harness while pulling a little tension on the plastic parts of each side of those harnesses in order to disconnect them. Never pull on the actual wiring whenever disconnecting a harness, because then you could cause a loose connection inside that pigtail and cause a problem down the road. Now, because I cut a slit underneath each one of those fuel lines in that rubber boot, it enabled me to completely remove that boot and get it up and out of the way, giving me full access to this fuel pump assembly. There's a plastic clip on each one of the fuel lines, both the supply and the return, that you will need to remove in order to remove these fuel lines. I used a very small flathead screwdriver to get underneath this plastic clip and pry it off of the fuel line. You do need to be very careful when prying these off of the fuel lines because they are plastic, and the older they get, the more brittle they're going to be, and these are the only thing responsible for locking in those fuel lines to this fuel pump assembly. It's also a good idea to keep track of which one goes where because they are two different sizes, so you don't mix them up trying to put them back together, which I ended up doing. Once you have removed the locking clips, those fuel lines will just pull right off without a problem. Then I just used a pair of oil filter wrench pliers, which work really well for a bunch of different applications. Put that around that plastic nut, broke it free, and then I was able to spin it the rest of the way off by hand. I use these pliers for a variety of different applications. In fact, the least thing I actually use them for is for removing oil filters. Once you have completely removed that retaining nut, then you can start lifting that fuel pump assembly out. Make sure you don't kink those fuel lines when you're trying to get that sending unit assembly past them. So now we're going to jump back over to the footage when I did this the first time, when the rubber boot was in my way, making it even more difficult to do. Once you've got the top part of the fuel pump above the fuel lines, you will have to angle that sending unit assembly to get the float and the filter out of that hole. There is also a rubber seal that goes between that fuel pump assembly and the fuel tank. Make sure you don't lose that as you're lifting it off. So at this point, I realized I was correct in the fact that the sending unit had a problem. If you notice in that plastic float that is completely filled with gasoline, therefore making it sink instead of float. Verifying that it was my problem, so that was good to see. Then I unpackaged my new fuel pump sending unit assembly and compared the two side by side, making sure they were the same size, the electrical pigtails were the same, and that they were the same height. Now, if you did end up deciding to go this route where you're just replacing the pump, I am going to do a quick basic overview of what you're going to do. To the best of my knowledge, keep in mind I have never done this before. On a newer style Razor, I have done a handful of them on older Polaris Rangers, and just didn't really like this process and the extra points of failure because of what you have to do it. So right here, obviously I've got the full sending unit assembly. In order to replace just the pump, you will have to disconnect your positive and negative. I recommend keeping track of those or labeling them somehow so you know which one goes where. You'll also have to remove the filter sock off of the bottom of the pump. Then if it was me, I would probably just cut a section out of this hose between the top of the sending unit assembly and the pump to give me enough room, hopefully, to remove that pump up and out of that sending unit assembly. Once you have that pump removed from that sending unit assembly, then you can go ahead and try and either cut or tweak that upper clamp so you can remove the rest of the hose from the upper part of that sending unit assembly. Go ahead and slide your new pump in. Then they give you a new supply hose with 2 hose clamps in order to put that hose and connect the top part of the sending unit assembly to the pump. Go ahead and plug your power and negative back onto the pump and then push the suction screen onto the bottom of that pump and you should be good to go. When going back together, make sure you put the rubber seal underneath that fuel sending unit assembly. Then you can go ahead and put the nut on the top of it, or you can do that afterwards. It doesn't really matter. And carefully set that fuel pump assembly back into place in the tank, going at the same angle you used to remove it. Once you do have the top part of that fuel pump assembly past the fuel lines, make sure you are timed correctly with that sending unit assembly so you can get those lines hooked up. So right here you can see that I did put a couple turns just to barely start that plastic nut. Then I rotated the fuel pump assembly around so I could get the lines hooked up. Tightened it the rest of the way down by hand, and then grabbed my oil filter pliers and gave it a good snug with those pliers. At this point, I went ahead and grabbed the locking clips for the fuel lines, and this is where I screwed up. I actually put the wrong one on the wrong line to start, because they are very similar in size and I just wasn't paying attention. So then I had to go ahead and remove it again, which isn't a good idea because of, once again, these are plastic clips. So every time you have to take them on and off, you're risking breaking them. So this was a really stupid mistake to make. When you do put these on the proper lines, they do fit nicely and snap right into place. You'll notice that the return line, which is that white fitting, the locking clip actually comes in pretty much straight from the top. However, the supply line locking clip locks in more at a 90-degree angle. Then I went ahead and plugged in the pigtail harness. Make sure you hear the detent of that plastic tab locking into place, making sure it is secured properly. Now, before going any further with putting this back together, I do recommend go ahead and start your engine up. Make sure that there are no leaks at the supply or the return line or anything like that. Make sure everything looks good. When going to start it up for the first time, you could cycle the key to the on position a couple times for 5 seconds or so to make sure it's primed. I didn't really do that and it pretty much fired right up anyways. After verifying that I had no leaks, I just went ahead and moved that rubber boot back into place and put it over the top of that plastic nut. When pushing that rubber cover back over those lines, make sure that you do get them around those lines properly so you have a nice tight seal on those lines so dirt and debris doesn't get in there. And make sure that that rubber boot is fully under that nut so it stays in position. Then go ahead and snap that plastic cover back into position, making sure it's timed correctly, and that's about all there is to it, guys. After that, all I had to do was go ahead and put my seat back into position, and I was all done. I did package up that old fuel pump and stick it in my toolbox and my razor, because now that I know how to do it, I could very easily replace this in the field if I absolutely had to. So that is going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and it gave you some good information. If so, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. The whole concept of my channel is to give you guys the most information in the least amount of time as possible so I don't waste your time. And I hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Later.